Hello, everybody. I hope everyone and their pets are well and good after this recent cold spell. This is the Rocker Dog Podcast, the only show on earth talking to musicians about their canine companions. I'm your host, Tim Dill, along with my canine colleague, Charlie, and today we're excited to bring you our little talk with three-time Grammy-nominated engineer and producer Sarah Tudzin, who will hopefully soon be Grammy-winning engineer and producer Sarah Tudzin for her work on Boy Genius's LP, The Record. Sarah is also the artist behind Illuminati Hotties, and this is her ageless Rocker Dog.
So the dogs we're talking about is my dog, Maeby, who I adopted like right at the beginning of the pandemic. And I've always wanted my own dog, and I sort of saw the opportunity of like touring kind of going away as a good chance to like get a dog adjusted to a lifestyle living with me. And so, yeah, Maeby's like a little brown kind of like pitty mix, but she's like beagle size, she's tiny. So she's just a little tank. And then my partner's dog, Zeus, who I've had in my life now for a few years, but who has been in my partner's life for almost 9 years, I guess.
Wow.
So he's an older guy, and he's a big German Shepherd mix, kind of tall and lanky, sporty dog. So those are the two.
Was that an easy thing to introduce those two? Did they hit it off right away, or did it take a little acclimation to go on?
It took a little time for sure. We were really careful about it. And at the time that I got Maeby, our relationship was pretty new. So, I wasn't really getting a dog with consideration of like introducing it to another dog, but we were hanging out, frequently. So we did a really sort of slow intro process. And now they're definitely in the same pack. So
are they pals? Do they like cuddle up with one another, sleeping? I mean,
they're
have they
not
gone that
cuddly.
far?
They're not cuddly, but they are. They play a lot.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
And how old is Maeby?
I thought she was like 4 or 5, and I'm thinking she might be older than I thought she was, just based on like a couple vet visits. So we've been calling her the orphan lately, which is, there's a horror movie where they adopt a kid, but then it turns out that it's like a 30-year-old lady. She is ageless.
Okay. And before I ask you about the name, I had a quote from you. It says, "I've been saying maybe I'll get a dog for a jillion years, so I finally got one." Is her name based on, because you've always maybe going to get a dog?
Yeah, that, and also there's a character in Arrested Development that is called Maeby, and
Okay.
I thought it was such a cute name. And also, yeah, it was sort of like I had been saying maybe I'll get a dog one day, and the timing was never really right with work and touring and roommates and, sort of all the factors that go into consideration.
Did you grow up with dogs?
I did. I had a dog pretty much like, I think I got her when I was probably like 7 or 8, and then she lived till I was in college, actually till after I graduated college. So we had a dog and a cat growing up, and she was a tiny little fluffy dog.
Do you know what breed it was?
I think she was like a poodle or a Maltese kind of thing. Like,
okay.
Yeah, we like had a dog. We adopted a dog for a second from kind of like a sketchy pet store, and it was like a big lab mix, and she was very, very skittish. And that was when me and my sister were very young, and she ended up kind of like snapping at my sister, and that was sort of like my mom was like, all right, we gotta figure something else out. So we ended up rehoming her with this woman who lived like a bit north of LA and had a big ranch property and wanted a dog for the ranch. And I think that she probably had a better life out.
I was going to say, it sounds perfect.
Yeah, I mean, she was a big dog who needed a lot of outside space and probably no kids around. And then we got a much smaller dog second time around.
Yeah. Much more manageable.
Yeah, exactly.
So lately I've been going through this thing of rocker dog credentials, like marrying you as a musician to your dog's personality. And so I've got a couple of things I just wanted to see if they overlap. So the first is, has Maeby been either on tour or to gigs?
She's not been to gigs. She's been, I'll say loosely on tour in that I've driven her up in the van a couple times, like when we've done West Coast stuff, because she and Zeus will sometimes stay at my partner's parents who live in the Bay Area. So I'll drop them off so they get babysat for while I'm on tour, or if both of me and my partner are going to be out of town. And then so she's been in the van, but she's not really been on tour or like in a gig.
Okay. Has she
Yeah.
been on record or video?
Yes, she actually has. She's appeared on many podcasts, Zoom kind of things like this. She'll kind of jump in sometimes. She was in a music video for my friend Lou Roy, whose album I produced. Lou made a video where she's like walking a pack of dogs, and Maeby was in that
Oh,
group.
nice.
Yeah, she's barking on really more records than she should be, probably. There's
Is
like
she
a
really?
few.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, whether by choice or by accident, I guess, like, if we're tracking here, sometimes it's not welcome, but there's Hottie's music that I don't know if there's any out that has her barking, but I think I have her moving around on some Hottie's tunes. There's a band Guppy I work with that has some Maybe and Zeus barking on on an upcoming record. There's an EP I mixed for Justin Courtney Pierre from Motion City Soundtrack, and
Okay.
he asked me to throw some barking in, so
I love it.
the EP starts with her barking. So
That's
she's
cool.
definitely
I love that it was requested to be on.
yeah. She is a bit of a loudmouth, so I think that when the opportunity comes, it's pretty easy to get her to bark.
That's great. Now, I know you've got a song, I Want to Keep Your Dog, and
Mhm.
you described it, you share it with that first time, the people that had that first time fling whose dog is much cuter than they are. Now, is that from real experience, the inspiration to that song?
I think it's loosely real. Don't let truth get in the way of art, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
But you know, I think it people come up to me all the time and say that they feel very seen by that song, or they're very, that it's relatable, and that they've either been in a relationship where the pet went to the other person when it ended, or they've dated people that had cute pets and then they ended the relationship, but they missed the pet. And so,
That's funny. That's like in
yeah.
the pros and cons. It's like, well, the pros is they got a really great dog.
Yeah, exactly.
In the lyric one, you have one lyric that says, "Don't bring Iggy." Was Iggy a
Mm.
dog? Was that a dog,
Iggy is
or was
a
that
little
a?
bit of like a name swap
Okay,
to protect the identity of the dog.
okay, because I didn't know if that was the dog or the wingman friend with whatever may be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so names have been changed to protect the innocent. Okay.
Yeah.
The next credential does maybe have groupies. Do
Oh, I
people
think
do people
maybe
know
has,
of do people know of
yeah.
her? Your fans?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think there's more fans of maybe than possibly me. I feel like a lot of people I meet at shows are just like people that, that are like friends of friends. Maybe we're like internet friends, and then we meet in person. I feel like the dog comes up right away, and she's really expressive. She makes a lot of like very human like faces, and so I feel like I've there's a lot of good content that I've put online, either just for friends or publicly, where she is doing something that I've never seen a dog do before.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I got to say one request I have is your Instagram needs more maybe.
I agree. I think I should put her up there more. There was a while where she was constantly on it, and then I was like, I gotta, this is a band. But yeah, I put a lot of stuff, like, basically I feel like since I got her, I have like a private friend Instagram, and like that has pretty much completely converted from anything going on
Okay.
in my life to just pictures of her.
Okay. Okay. So we're now privy to that, but I'm happy to hear that she's out there and shared often
Oh yeah.
amongst friends. Now, speaking of friends, I know a number of your collaborators have dogs, and I wonder if there's any. Have you met these dogs? Has maybe met these dogs? But starting off, we have Phoebe Bridgers. She's got Maxine, I believe, is the black pug,
Oh yeah.
and I think you
Yeah.
were. I think I saw a picture of you with the pug.
Yes. Yeah. Maxine goes on tour with Phoebe. So we did. a run of shows with Boy Genius, and Maxine Maxine was often around, and she's just the sweetest little thing. I mean, I've met her. My dog doesn't usually meet other dogs that much. It takes a little bit of like intentional intro time for her, and then she's fine. But yeah, I've met Maxine. Great dog.
Julian Baker has Beans, I believe.
Yes, I feel like I maybe met Beans for like possibly just for a second. Like I was in Nashville hanging with Lucy actually, and Lucy had just gone to visit Julian and went to go pick up Beans with Julian, I think, and maybe help Julian move or something. It was years ago. I can't really remember what the whole situation was, but I feel like I maybe met Beans for a second. But we've been sort of loosely planning actually a dog meet because I think Beans and Maeby are similar in their need for sort of like a true intro.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I get that's a perfect opportunity for Instagram since you're two, public figures.
Yeah.
Sadie Dupuis, who was a guest on this show, she's got that lovely dog Lavender. Have you met
Oh
Lavender?
yeah. Oh yeah. Many times. Sadie is a close, really one of my best friends, and I know that I think she's been on the pod also, and yeah, Lav is just like one of the best dogs, and such a weird little freak, and I've stayed at Sadie's house in Philly for extended periods of time, and I love that dog.
That's nice to hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seemed like a great dog. And then finally, just in my notes, you were at Rancho de la Luna, and they've got Chuck, Buster, and Bertha Lou.
Yes. Okay. So when I was there, it was before Chunk.
Or
It
Chunk, I'm
was
sorry.
like I think David was maybe in between dogs when I was there. And then I don't know the other two unless there's like another like neighbor who has these two big dogs that are in the yard a lot. So I was like running while I was up there in the mornings, and I saw those dogs a bunch, and they were really cute. But yeah, I haven't met Chunk yet, but I'm hoping I'll have a chance to get out there and work sometime soon because I mean Dave is the best, and I'm sure the dog is awesome.
Yeah, it seems very cool out there. It's funny because he posted a picture of Chunk, and both you and Sadie were under one another in the comments, and it was Chunk! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! So it
Yeah,
looked like you
it's
guys were old friends and were reunited, through social media.
I feel like I know Chunk spiritually.
Yes. I often ask if a dog is on brand, and a lot of times it comes from, I speak to a lot of heavy metal guys, and they've got these tiny little muffin dogs. Uh, in the context of you've kind of given yourself the moniker of a tender punk. So I'm wondering, is maybe a tender punk?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, she's tough as nails on the outside. She was a street dog before she was rescued. And I mean, she's small in person, but she has a very like imposing stature even for a small dog,
Right.
smaller dog. And she's just so shy and gentle and such a teddy bear on the inside, and I think tries to be the boss, and then as soon as you start petting her, it's she's just kind of like rolls on her back and it's game over.
Nice. Now, being a pit or a pit mix, are people intimidated at all? I know you said she's doesn't have really the stature of a 50, 60 pound pit or bigger, but
Yeah.
do you see any people kind of backing away or kind of misjudging?
Yeah, I don't get that a lot with her. I think more like what I've heard more is like that she appears bigger in photos. Like I feel like a lot of people who've seen a picture of her think that she's kind of a big scary dog, and then when they meet her, they're like, "Oh, she's so small and cute." And so mainly I think it's just like before people have met her, they've sort of imagined her being a much scarier looking dog. In person, I feel like I mean, she looks like a brown, like you ask like an 8-year-old to draw a dog. Like that's what
Yeah.
she looks like. So she's pretty unassuming in person.
Yeah, no, it's funny looking at her at first. She is a quintessential dog. So I was like, what is the breed here? It's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like the encyclopedia definition of a dog.
Exactly. Yeah, just like little floppy brown dog. I did the dog DNA thing, and it came up with a lot of pit, and then pretty much every other breed of dog was like the other half. So
Yeah. Did she
yeah.
get super mutt? I see on well, those DNA, it's usually at the end is super mutt, which I guess assume is just like 1% of 10 different things.
Yeah, I think yeah, she had super mutt, but she truly had I mean, it was obvious that, they didn't have to throw super mutt in there. It was like shepherd, husky, lab, poodle, dachshund, like, chow, all of the dogs that you could possibly have in
Yeah.
one dog.
And you mentioned earlier, do you know anything about her history? She was brought in as a stray found on the street.
Yeah, there's a rescue in that's like serves the sort of like East LA County, like Pomona and Chino Hills and stuff that I think that they have like a partnership with a vet in Baja California in Mexico, and
Hmm.
so that vet does a lot of like trap and release of street dogs, and they have there's so many stray dogs down there that they'll just pick them up, fix them, and then throw them back. And I think that they end up sort of having like a percentage that they feel are like suited, I guess, for maybe having a home, and they'll send them to this rescue. So like the rescue is essentially like half street dogs from Mexico, and then they also rescue dogs from like the like Kentucky and like
Right.
Tennessee
Yeah.
area. There's like a whole thing about, if they train all these hounds for hunting, and if the hounds aren't trainable, then they just release them into the forest. And
Yeah.
so this rescue is sort of stepping in and being like, that's not really like an appropriate way to release dogs, and they try and take in as many of those dogs as they can.
Yeah. Well, that's great to hear. That's
Yeah.
a good organization. Now,
Yeah, yeah, I really like them.
Does maybe serve as an emotional support dog in any way, shape, or form?
Oh yeah. I think all dogs do. Like I think that there's obviously like a certified type of dog in that world, but I mean, I work from home most of the time, and to have a dog to snuggle on a break is really special.
Yes, I'm very familiar with the dog break where you get down
Hmm.
and curl up on their bed and hang out and take a take a breather.
Totally. And then it's like, if I spend 10 or 20 minutes petting her, then I have to spend 10 or 20 minutes petting Zeus. And then,
Right.
then it's an hour's gone by. So it's a welcome distraction.
That's great. I don't mean to ignore Zeus. What can you tell me about Zeus? What's his is it a girl or a boy?
He's a boy.
I mean,
He's a
boy
jock.
name. Is he
Yeah.
very like loves to chase balls and very active or
Yeah. Obsessed with toys, obsessed with fetch. What I mean, it's sort of like you could throw a ball till your arm falls off and he'll still
nice?
be playing. And I feel like he's like his like human counterpart is like Zac Efron or something in High School Musical. Like he's just like all American, like sports guy. He's very likable, and he's very sweet. And he basically has been my partner's dog for almost a decade, and has seen sort of the best and worst in the way that like a dog that you've had for that long
Yeah,
has
that's
seen.
sweet.
And it's very sweet. He's a good dog.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a go-to story for maybe whether it's any drama or comedy? Is there anything that comes to mind when you're talking dogs, I guess, with somebody else?
I mean, I feel like I have so many stories. I mean, mainly I just feel like she has very, like I said, just like so expressive, and like has these deep eyes, and like something non-dog is in there.
Yeah.
So I feel sometimes. And I mainly just I feel like she just is so like on. I mean, maybe it's probably just me like projecting, but when things happen, I feel like it's almost like The Office, like Jim Halpert looking at the camera moment. Like
Right.
like that's very her thing. Like if something crazy happens, I feel like I look at her and she's looking at me, and we're like, you know. So
That's
that's
great.
mainly like the where the source of stories come from, I guess, with her is her sort of like reactions to everyday things, where I'm like, like you shouldn't care about whatever's happening.
Yeah. Does she get separation anxiety? Like if you're packing a bag, does she know what's going on?
She definitely knows what's going on. She gets excited, I think, because she thinks she's coming. And so it's kind of like, and then, with the two of them, Zeus, like they just, as their energy just like one ups each other and until they're like kind of worked into a frenzy. And but when we leave, like if they're both home alone, I have like a little doggy spy cam, and they essentially are completely deactivated when no one's home. They just lay on the
That's good.
couch.
I got to
Yeah.
get one of those. It's funny. I'd love to see like that's it. We don't, it's funny
Yeah,
to
not much
spy
is
on your
going on.
dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I wind down the show with 5 questions I call the zoomies because they're
Mm.
supposed to be quick, but we'll see. The first one is, do you kiss Maeby on the mouth?
Um, I don't, I think I have, but I think I try not to.
You don't seek it out when you show affection.
No, I think I more have gotten slimed in reverse.
Okay.
She'll kiss me and I'll be like, "Ugh." I try to just kiss her on the head.
Okay. Question 2, if Maeby had a theme song, what would it be? Does she have walk-up
Mm.
music to the plate or red carpet music? Or
Ooh, that's a good one.
if you
I'm
took
gonna
her to the
say
Grammys, what would they play as she walked in?
she's I'm gonna say goodies. My goodies. I think it's a Sierra song.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. Perfect. That's perfect. Your dog hasn't toured with you, but if she did, what would she insist be on the tour rider?
Ooh. Whimsies. Do you know whimsies?
I
They're
don't.
like they're like little they're like more sturdy than like a treat, but they're like kind of like they can eat them in like 5 minutes. They're like
Okay.
chewy, like teeth treats. Um, an electric blanket, a heated blanket.
Oh, really?
That's been the winter
Does she
big
sleep on
winter
top of it, or
item.
will she get under?
Both. She'll do
Okay.
both. But she's a chilly girl. When it drops below 65 in LA, she's like immediately depressed.
Do you guys share the same trait?
I actually like when it's a little cool, but my threshold is weak. Like I don't think I could. I know that I could not permanently live in a place that gets much colder than LA does at its coldest.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. All right. Question 4 is, do you use a dog voice to speak to her? Or in addition, do you give her a dog voice? Is there a voice that you personify her with?
I speak to her in like a mostly regular voice, I think.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more animated. Like in the way you'd speak to like a 5-year-old. Like I don't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not
You
trying
don't.
to undermine her
Yeah.
intelligence, but I also feel like I need to pep it up a little. Her voice, sort of has shifted, I guess, over time, but I don't really know. I think that I sort of like imagine her as like a television version of like a cartel guy is her voice to me. Like
like a
she's like
like a
really
Mexican drug
sweet.
cartel.
Yeah, like she's very sweet, but she's like, I love you guys, but one day I'm gonna kill you.
There's that tender punk coming to the surface.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, is there a dog organization or service you'd like to shine a spotlight on?
Just like local SPCAs everywhere, I think is the main spot that I would shine a light on. I know there's some really good ones in LA. And I would just say if to people who don't have a dog or do have a dog and want another dog, or want to volunteer, the SPCA is great. And they're always looking for fosters. They're obviously always looking for people willing to adopt. And it was really special during the pandemic that for the first time, I think the Los Angeles SPCAs at least were near empty.
Yeah.
And it's just because a dog's at the pound doesn't mean something's wrong with it. And I rescued Maeby from a rescue organization. And I think that there's a lot to be said about taking a chance on a dog that hasn't had the luxury of living in a home or hasn't was given back. That doesn't always mean that it's the dog's fault.
Yeah.
So
No, for sure.
yeah,
Amen to that. They'll acclimate given the chance.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I have to say congratulations. I don't know why I'm so excited, but it just seems very cool that you're up for 3 Grammys.
Thank you. Yeah, thank
Do you
you.
have big plans for that week? Do you have the parties and the press and the events all planned out?
It's all sort of getting put together right now, I think, but I'm planning on going. I'm really excited for Boy Genius. I'm really proud of them. I think that this whole album campaign for them has been leading up to this moment, kind of, and they delivered and they got the recognition that the album deserves. So yeah, I'm excited to go be a part of it and hopefully see the boys bring home some Grammys.
Yes, yes. Well, good luck. I definitely have my money on Not Strong Enough. I can't tell you
Me
how
too.
many times I hear that song, and every time I hear it, it's like I'm hearing it for the first time. So it just shows what a indelible melody that is, and there's the complexities to it. Like every time you listen to it, it's like there's something you can discover. So it's just a sign of a really great song. So
Yeah, yeah.
best of luck. And
Thanks.
also, Little Bird told me that you might have a follow up to Let Me Do One More in the works.
Yeah, I think I'm always working on music. When a record comes out, that doesn't mean it's the most recent music of an artist's discography. And this one's taken me some time to sort of sort through, and I started with a large pool of songs and was whittling it down from there. So I'm getting close, and I'm really excited to put out more music. That's the best part, you know.
Yeah, well, everybody wants it, and everybody's waiting for it. I do want to ask, all this adulation with the Grammys, is it kind of obviously it's going to probably make your phone ring a lot more, but has it changed kind of what you saw at 2024, what you wanted it to be 6 months ago versus what it's probably going to be going into it?
Yeah, I think it's huge, and it certainly makes me, I'm sort of wondering also, I guess, how it's going to shape up, but I do think that that sort of recognition is an important touchstone to someone who is making a career out of music. And so I hope I can keep doing this forever. And if having a couple Grammys as an engineer and producer is part of the picture, then that's cool. If that
Yes.
brings people my way.
Well, again, best of luck, and thank you for giving me your time to take me through your dogs. I know it's a very exciting time for you right now, and here I am
Thank
pulling
you.
you aside and be like, let's talk about your dogs for 30 minutes.
I
So
love it. I'll talk
I
about my
appreciate
dogs anytime.
Thanks again, and best of luck, and we'll be watching come, when is it, February 4th?
Yes.
All
Cool.
right.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.